Hello, class. Professor Cisneros here, and this is the Week 4 wrap-up. Week 5, there's not going to be a discussion board, but your assignment 1 is going to be due. So in Week 4, you took a look at a relatively short list of countries, and just based solely on enrollment timelines, you made a decision as to whether or not you were going to include those particular countries. Well, what you did was you had a set enrollment timeline of 18 months, and then based on how long it was going to take each country to get up and be ready to begin screening patients, you made a decision as to whether or not those countries would be included or not. In there, you also, I think there was a realization that at times the how long it was going to take for a country to get through the regulatory process and be in a position to begin screening patients was sometimes a bit difficult to wrap your hands around. China, for example, there was seemingly a wide timeline as to exactly how long it would take. China typically, at least in the past, has taken up to 2 years to get up and going. Unfortunately, what happens with some of these countries, India can be rather difficult to really get a hold of, as well as South Africa. Last time I did a study in South Africa was about 5 years ago, but in many of these countries, the timelines can really change from year to year. It doesn't happen all that often, but to assume that just because it was a certain time last year doesn't mean that it's going to be again next year, especially where the political winds are rather volatile. And South Africa is definitely one of those countries. Other times, as I mentioned in the discussion board, there can be resource difficulties, especially with something of a scientific nature, which some of these, of course, understanding exactly what's involved in a clinical research study can get. So there's a level of expertise that has to exist within the country, and sometimes that expertise doesn't always stay. The point is that hopefully you have people on the ground. You've got a team that's going to know very well exactly what is going on within the government and within those agencies that oversee clinical research, and they'll be able to give you a very good idea as to exactly how long any particular process is going to take. I think the larger point was to get an understanding of how to begin to compare, how to begin to create a country allotment program or plan, and see how this comparison can take place. Now that is just one point of what's going to be can be a very involved and very complicated, and has a level of subjectivity plan to it. And that's where the assignment comes in. So your first assignment is going to include an additional 5 feasibility assessments. And of course, this is also going to be included or put into a PowerPoint presentation. And so in the instructions, there was a list of factors, and what you're going to do is you're going to pick your top 5 and then put them in order of importance. The first one being the most important, or at least what you think is the most important, down to the least, the least relevant. And the most important part of this, after you've chosen your 5 factors, is to present why it's important, and then present 3 examples, and then how the information gained from that additional analysis, that additional factor, is going to impact your country assessment plan. From there, there's a considerable amount of detail that I thought was fairly straightforward in the instructions, so I'm not going to go into it within this video. But should you have any questions, by all means, reach out to me, and I'll help you in the best way I can. Otherwise, good luck, and we'll see you on the discussion board.